God bless you. It's so great and so wonderful again for me to sit and to converse with you. Funny, funny way of conversation. It's just a one way. But I trust anyway that you are well and that the blessings and the presence of the Lord is with you at this time. I don't know what's going on around you in your life. I'm not able to see and or to know by way of discernment. And strangely enough, that is the area in which we we're going to be addressing for the few moments that I'm with you today. Since we started chapter 2, and especially from chapter 5 until now, we've been looking at the benefit of gaining wisdom, the benefit of gaining wisdom. And in this particular session, it's talking about the benefit, one of the 8 benefits of gaining wisdom is that you will be given discernment. So in in that within that framework, I really don't know what your situation is, but I trust anyway that the Lord will give you the understanding. The Lord will help you, and he based on the other 3 or the previous 3 areas that we've looked at, he will give you the understanding, and he will be there to protect you, irrespective of whatever comes your way. You will be. He will help you to be victorious and uh, victorious in the sense also that you you will respond favorably to the word that he will give you, that you will be obedient to whatever instructions, whatever he shows you, to whatever he reveals to you about whatever you're going through, that you will be obedient and be responsive positively, spiritually, giving yourself to him. And that may even say that you need to be still, that you need to be quiet, that you need not to do anything at all. And that's very difficult for us as human beings, for us as men, as man, because we like to know that we've got things under control and that we understand all things. To tell someone that I don't understand, for me to say to someone who is then looking to me to give direction by saying, well, listen, I really don't know what I'm doing or what I'm supposed to do. It could look at an admission of weakness in some sort. You understand? I hope I'm trying to. I may not be explaining it as clearly as one should, but I'm sure you'd understand what you mean, or you know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, let's read verses 9, 10, and 11 from the scriptures, and let us hear, and let us respond to what God is saying to us through His Word. Again, we did say in the last and that how we know that God is speaking to us, or how we know that that um, that we are receiving a word from God. It's by reading. We have to read His Word. So let's read His Word in relation to the benefit of gaining wisdom. 9, 10, and 11. I read from the King James Version as well as from the Jewish text. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. 10. When wisdom entereth into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul. Verse 11. Discretion shall preserve thee. Understanding shall keep thee. Can I read it again? Then shalt thou understand. Let me read verse 8, because I think we'll have a I would suggest that you read probably verse 1, but let me read from verse 8 all the way down to 11. Then shalt thou, he that keepeth the path of judgment and preserveth the way of the saint, then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. Then wisdom entereth, when wisdom entereth into thy heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee. I read the same passage, 8, 9, 10, and 11, even though we are concentrating on verses 9, 10, and 11. In order to guard the courses of justice and preserve the way of those faithful to him, then you will understand righteousness, justice, fairness, and every good path. Verse 10. For wisdom will enter your heart, knowledge will be enjoyable for you. Verse 11. Discretion shall watch over you, and discernment shall guard you. I like verses 10 and 11. Let me read that. Okay. For wisdom will enter your heart, knowledge will be enjoyable for you, discretion shall watch over you, discernment will guard. Who better to say these very powerful words than the wisest of all men, a man of great understanding, a man of great wisdom and knowledge. It's very powerful, and I think that we ought to really dwell on these things. To do that, I think that too much for you, probably too much for me, I would say. But for you to take the time within your day, another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, another hour is not too long for you. Probably one could even take longer. But for me to keep talking about these two verses, I think it'd be too much for me or for you to hear me drone on about. But it wouldn't be too long at all for you to read, because there is so much that Solomon is telling us. Understanding, discernment is saying that we understand the situation. So discernment helps a person know what is right. It helps a person to know what is just, and it helps a person know what is fair. These three are equivalent to the content and shape of a person's moral sensitivity. They constitute the good path that a person should follow in life. Discernment will fill a person's heart with wisdom and knowledge. That is what verse 10 says here. Let's read verse 10. When wisdom entereth, into thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul. When wisdom entereth thine heart, and knowledge is pleasant, it fills the heart with wisdom. When you understand the thing, when you discern, stroke, and understand the thing, it fills the heart with wisdom and knowledge. God God desires his wisdom to enter not only our mind, not only an individual's mind, but it must enter the heart, the life. That is what heart needs. It's not this heart that is beating here. This heart here doesn't know anything but to beat the blood, the issue of life around the body. But it's the life. When a person's life is filled with understanding, with wisdom, and with knowledge, when someone sees that in you, that's great pricing. That is a great price. Just think about that for the moment, because I think that is what one takes see of themselves. You should seek discernment, understanding, wisdom, and knowledge. God desires that it not only enters the mind, it not only enters the brain, to have a working knowledge of it, but it should be our lifestyle. That is what it is. Wisdom is not just mentally comprehended, it is to be obeyed. When it enters an individual's heart, it becomes a part of their character. Oh my goodness, Lord, it's a blessing. I think I really believe it's, oh, this is this is of great price. It is of great price. It's wisdom is not just being able to articulate it, understood by our mental faculty. No, no, that's not how it ought to be. That's not how it ought to be at all. It's got to be a part of our being, of our character. Can you imagine Christ on earth when someone saw him? Yes, he spoke intellectually. I believe he had a prowess, a mental prowess about him that others uh, were took notice of. But there was something else. There was something else about Christ, whom we ought to be like. Anyway, he is um, our template, isn't it? To be like Jesus. There's a song that says to be like Jesus. All I ask is to be like him. There has to be something. It's not. This is not just a mental and intellectual um, target in our life. No, it's got to be a part of us, and that is we as men, human beings, a part of Adam. That is what we fail. We fail on. We fail because we believe that the man who is able to understand mentally, that has the mental knowledge, that has uh, the, the the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding of things mentally, is the man that is geared for whatever it may be that we're looking for. And that's not it. What about the character of the man? What about the life of the individual? Isn't that something that probably we should also wish to to be or to look for? Discernment, discernment, discernment will also protect. Discernment will guard the wise man. It will protect. When you understand something the way how it should be, it protects and it guards you. You know what to do and what not to do. You know how to move and what not to, and not what movement one should make, because you understand. There is much that we can get out of this. There's much that the Proverbs is telling what Solomon. Remember, Solomon was an ordinary man. Yes, he wasn't a god. He was not a god. He failed. in a lot of things. But there was something about Solomon that was unique, unique in the sense that God gave him wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He was able to discern something that others could not. He was able to understand, or he was able to have the knowledge that others in his day, and probably even in our day, couldn't have. Now, I'm not saying that there are not any knowledgeable men today, because there are some men who are very knowledgeable, extremely knowledgeable on particular subjects. But I believe there was something about Solomon that I don't think any man could ever have or had ever attained to. And I say that again because on the one premise that God gave him wisdom. And I believe there was a wisdom that God gave him that I know, again, that there are some men who are very knowledgeable, they have great understanding, discernment, and they are wise. Even though they may not say that God has given, but God has given them that. But there's some things, my friend, that I don't believe that well, I do believe that there are some things that God showed Solomon, that God gave the wisdom in some areas, that there are some individuals they have not seen, they have not even touched. They have not even touched those areas. We're really sitting down at the very feet, I believe, of Solomon. And I'm not saying that Solomon's feet is any more or is any greater than the feet of our master, the Lord Jesus Christ. I'm not saying that. No, because that's where we should be anyway. And Solomon is speaking of Christ. He's speaking of God anyway. Let me just lay that out. Solomon is not talking about anything or anybody other than God. In all evil, let me say for the whole Proverbs, up to this point that we have reached, chapter 2, verses 9, 10, and 11, Solomon is speaking about God. Nothing else. And that is where we should be. We should be sitting at the feet of Christ, of God, bowing, worshiping Him. But at this moment, if our imagination are active, I believe, my friend, that we are sitting in the court of we're sitting in the garden, we're sitting in the room, we could be sitting with hundreds of others, we could be sitting with the other wise men that were around Solomon at the time, we could be sitting with his son. Because at particular times he has said, my son would say, my son do this, my son do not leave this, do not ignore. So we are listening to Solomon. But in our listening, being receptive, we must respond. And we should. Because in hearing what Solomon is saying up to this point, we should really be reflecting on ourselves, on our lives, on our character, even of ourselves to God. Because that's what Solomon is asking. He's pleading for us wisdom. God is pleading for us to look at ourselves and to look at Him and to respond in a godly fashion. Consider these things. May God bless you. Love you. Continue to pray for us. Continue, my friends, to seek the face of the Lord for yourself and for us. Because there were times, I believe, in our life, in your life, in the life, in the history of this world, in the history of mankind, we really need God to move with us. We do. And to reassure us that He's very much